We are going to use mortar to simulate the sandy floors. Mortar is cheaper than tile grout, glue, wood filler, or anything else I have seen on YouTube or elsewhere to simulate sand. To mix the mortar, I use a yogurt container and I put maybe a quarter cup of mortar mix in there, and then I mix it with water till I get the desired consistency. For the sandy floors, I mix it with a lot of water so it looks kind of like this. And for the initial coat, I'm using a large paintbrush and I just paint it on all over the floor. If I get over the edges like this, I'll just use a sanding block and I'll sand it later. I go right up against the edges and the corners. So that's the main floors done. I'm also going to do the top of each step because I'll consider that to be the floor. But I'll avoid for the most part, the intricate designs on this side of the stairs. Now we'll just keep going in this manner and do all the rest of the floors. For the second coat, I'm going to fix up any low areas, make sure that all the seams are invisible, and build up the sand drifts in the corners. I'm going to add extra water to make it flow easier. You can use a damp sponge to clean up any areas that you don't want the mortar to cover up. I prefer to do the floors first and then concentrate on the walls, but you could do them both at the same time. So I mixed it up with a little bit extra water. You can see how it drips. And then we're going to go in and just paint the walls. You want to watch out for holes like this where there's going to be attributes attached. We just don't want to fill them up. It's okay if extra goes down onto the ground because that'll just help to be sand drifts. So all we're doing is giving the walls some texture. Nice light coat. So I got some in that hole there. I'll just use my damp sponge and clean it up. So we'll keep going and do all the areas, including these hieroglyphics or symbols or whatever. Everything is going to get a nice light coat of mortar to give us texture. When the walls are dry, I do the finishing steps for both the walls and the floor. So the first thing to do would be to take some 220 grit sandpaper and just sand off all the edges and make sure there's no overhang. You want to make sure everything is flat. So there's no overhang of the mortar onto this surface here that's going to connect to other surfaces. So we'll do that on every corner. This piece is going to attach to the other set, so we want to again make sure this is perfectly flat, ready for glue. Now, if you have any areas, like any buildup that you don't want, or something's in a plug where it needs to go, you can use a dental pick. And you can just go in there and pick out the pieces that you don't want. So that's great for delicate work. The other thing you can do is use a damp sponge. Again, damp, not wet. And what you can do is go over the areas, like see the front of the stairs where there's a pattern on the front of the stairs. So we want the mortar not to cover it up. We want the pattern to show through. So being careful, because you don't want to take away any of the mortar that you want to keep. You can also clean up the stairs and get the pattern to show through. So again, on this side, it was a little tricky because there's pieces that are going to attach here. So again, you want to go in there with your sanding, get the top edge so it's perfect. The mortar's not reaching up and over. And it's important, take your time. Look at everything, look at it under different lights, make sure everything is perfect, because this is our last chance. The next step, we're going to seal everything up with the base coat, and you can still make corrections after that, but it's better to do them all now.